Grab a drink, a joint, or maybe just your chair. It's time for Business After Hours with Summer Thorn and Claire Tinkler. Welcome back to Business After Hours with Summer and Claire. Today we have a super cool and awesome guest, the relational astrologer, Mandi Rose. She also owns Holistic Soul Sisters, and she has got a lot going on. And we're actually pretty excited about this episode. So, Mandy, do you want to tell us a little bit about you and how you got started? And
Yes. Hello.
yeah, and how
I
how you
love
found your craft? You've got to tell me
I
that. So,
I'm gonna try to keep it like short and sweet. But I think like most entrepreneurs, you start somewhere and end up like somewhere completely different.
Oh,
So
yeah.
first of all, I am so excited to be here. I have been waiting for this podcast to launch. I love the topic. I love the idea. Like the after hours is where the magic happens, the networking, the learning, all the evolution. So I'm here for it. And for my journey, I've always been entrepreneurial, like spirited, but always worked corporate because it was like the safe zone, right? I would get my paycheck, had my health insurance, all the things. And then the pandemic happened and I was like, yeah, I'm not really going to like let someone else tell me when I can and cannot work and how I should work. And so I opened my first LLC and like, a little Bambi walking out into the forest. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
For
So I
real.
filed my LLC and I was starting to wing it. And I started in cosmetology. So I've had my cosmetology license for 10 years and worked at another salon and, did all the commissions and learned marketing and selling products and stuff. But when you're on your own and it's like, I had to figure out how to do that on my own without a boss telling me I had to meet a quota and without knowing like the structure of business. And so it was just one little studio that I was renting and figuring it all out and expanding into selling products. And that was in 2020, right after the pandemic. And about a year and a half later, I had gotten more into like health coaching because people come and they want to talk about their skin and all the other stuff going on. And I'm like, that's a gut health issue. And I'd been health coaching on the side. So I merged that then into my Cosmo practice. And then I loved health coaching more. And so I started doing that mostly in 2022. And then it was 2023 when I was like, I want to go full time as an astrologer. Like, this is my jam. This is my gift. It hasn't really been a niche that people have been interested in. So, had I opened that business first, I don't think I would have been as successful as I am
Yeah.
now with social media and people talking about astrology and recognizing the importance of it. So, now I've evolved. I've completely shut down my salon business literally as of this month. So, like, oh, butterflies, terrified to go all in on my passion of astrology and still doing the health coaching. But here I am just winging it. And I still feel like a Bambi with like little
It
legs. And I'm
doesn't
like,
go away.
I feel like that's it.
yeah.
And then I
Yeah, I was
finally
gonna
came
say.
she's like, come with me. I got you. And I was like, oh, thank you.
Did you
Yeah.
did you go all in on the first business? Like, were you part-time or like have like a side gig, or did you go all the way in the first one?
I went all the way in. And so it was super terrifying because I was going through a whole up level in my life. I was coming out of a season where I was really sick with mold toxicity. So I couldn't work. So I'd been out of a job for almost a year, medical bills and all of that. My husband had just left me. So he was the prime breadwinner. So I could work part time for this corporate company. And then here he like leaves. I have no income. I'm still kind of healing. And I just wasn't willing to put up with the corporate bullshit anymore. And so I was like, guess I'm going all in. And the only way to do it was to like downsize the bills, right? Like
Yep.
I was like, all right, we're going bare minimum here, like not going on vacation, not doing anything else. We just have to figure it out. And yeah, it was kind of scary. But I also had that blind faith. And I heard this like quote that was, if someone can talk you out of starting the business, you should never start the business.
Summer.
Right. And then I was
Yep.
like, you couldn't have talked me out of it. Like there was no other option.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, the first chapter of like my startup like guide, Bible, whatever we're gonna call it, is talking someone out of a business. Because if you read that chapter and you're convinced that you're not ready or you don't want to do it, then you shouldn't start one.
Yeah.
And I think I was delusional. Like I didn't know about having a sales tax license and I didn't know about not merging your business. I didn't know. So,
Yeah.
like, I think because I didn't know, I wasn't really scared of a lot of things. It actually came about in like 2022, like 2 years in, that I started getting scared because I figured out how much I didn't know. And I was like, "Oh, shit." Like, could I quit now? But, like, I was all in. There was really no other option, and last year, there was, like oh, man, it had all this drama, like, we can go into it, like, sales tax, and I told Claire the whole story when I met her and hired her on. But there was a moment where I was like, "I'm done. I'm going back to bartending." Like, that just seems so much easier because I can come home, I can unplug,
Yep.
I can make a shitload of money, and then I'm like, "Girl, you are 38. If you go back into that bar industry, you're gonna hate it. It's time to, like, put your big girl panties on and figure this out because everything is figure outable." And then I found Claire, like, 6 months later. So, I just had to
I feel
open the
like
manifestation doors and get super clear with the universe that, like, I'm not quitting.
I feel
Yeah.
like once a year I get that. I'm like, I'm gonna quit. Once a year. I don't it's like it's not at the same time either. It's like when shit just like gets like, why am I doing this? It's more than I've ever worked in my life.
Yeah.
Same. And I'm like, I could just get a wage and, coast for 8 hours a day and be done for the day.
But it is like that. Like there's something miraculous and amazing about people that are willing to bet on themselves. Like there's something just absolutely badass about that. And I love being part of that like tier of people that have decided to bet on themselves, and you may fail. Like there's great business owners that have failed and it's not because of they did something wrong. It could be the market. It could be, whatever happens that is beyond your control. But either way, you decided to bet on yourself. And I think that's something that you don't regret. Maybe hard, but on your deathbed, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, I wish I didn't take that chance," you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly, and it just
Yeah.
got to the point where it was like, how much longer do you wanna live under someone else's rules? And just again, just figuring it all out, like and I think my best advice really if anyone's thinking, because I help a lot of my health coach girlfriends, like, figure out where they should start because 'cause they've seen me progress now over the last 5 years, and the first
Yeah.
thing is, like, you don't have to pick a niche, you don't have to pick anything, like, you're gonna tell me right now, this is who you're gonna work with. In 3 years, you're gonna be like, "I never wanna work with a pregnant mama again." Like,
Yep.
that's okay, you're gonna evolve, you're gonna change, and if you don't start, you're never gonna figure out what you don't want or how you wanna operate in your business, so,
Oh, yeah.
yep. Don't get
And
too committed. Don't get too committed to anything, any
Yeah.
service that you offer, any industry, like, entrepreneurship is an energy, and the way that that energy manifests is gonna look different based on the collective and what's going on in the world. Enter in astrology.
Yeah. Yeah, you've
it's
gotta be able to change and adapt, like, on a dime. If what you're offering is not popular, then you've gotta change, you've gotta adapt to what, is in demand.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
love that idea of just being water and being adaptable and flexible, like maintaining the integrity of what you wanted to do and why you wanted to do it. But, or, you keep the destination the same. It's just that the journey changes a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
It really does. And, especially like once, because, once I quit my day job and was like, all right, I'm doing this, I'm going after cannabis clients and I'm expanding my stripper clientele and, it, it's going to be successful, but then everything always, it takes longer. It takes more money. It's harder than you think it is, so, but if you make it through that first year, what is it like? What is it? 80% of businesses
Uh, so
fail or
far,
quit
about
or
50% are dead, or not dead, like physically. uh, yeah, they die from a heart attack from the stress, but no.
It's plausible. There's probably some data on that.
Probably.
People are like, "Oh my god." And no, the business is dead, not the people.
It's like, what'd you say in 5 years,
Yeah,
50%?
50%.
So crazy. And what is the percentage of small businesses? Aren't we, don't we like make up like 98% of the workforce or something? Like it's pretty freaking big.
I know we have more dollars than big business. It's just that we're so disaggregated that we don't have a lot of power. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the number is though. We're more than big business. It's just we're all separate. Trying to
Yeah.
claw our way up there.
Yeah. That's why we're making this little collaborative.
Yeah.
Love it.
Um, so most people think of just astrology as horoscopes, and I would love to hear like what the definition of relational astrology is. How does relational astrology go deeper to help us understand ourselves and others?
Oh, I love it. Such a good question. And I just launched my second podcast and it's just all about relational astrology. And in that first episode, I had to like get super clear to explain it to someone who's like never heard of the concept, right? And so for me, I believe that like relationships are energy exchanges, right? And we kind of know this. And ultimately, at the end of the day, in astrology, you have your own birth chart, right? Your own unique energetic blueprint. Anything that is birthed or comes alive at that exact moment has its own birth chart. So your pet has a birth chart. Obviously, your children do. Your business has a birth chart, like even a project that you would launch out into the world, right? And so that holds the blueprint, the energetic DNA of that thing. And so you have your own energetic blueprint, right? Like how you operate, what you love, how you think, like how you shine, your emotional code, like we think of love languages, right? Everyone wants to like understand each other based on all these like Myers-Briggs tests and the Gottman relationship tests and all these things. Astrology is the original OG like personality, right? And so you have your own energetic profile. And the challenge is, especially when we get into business, is that we adapt or morph or get out of our authentic alignment to please others, right? To like get a client, to work with a business partner, and you step out of who you're meant to be. And then you build a relationship upon something you're not. And eventually that breaks, right? Eventually the person sees you for who you are, or you can't stand not being who you are. And then the relationship gets severed. So my goal is to help people first and foremost understand who they are based on their blueprint, their own unique energetic profile, and then understanding the other person's so you can blend that energy together and like harmonize that energy. And sometimes it's two opposites attract because you need each other to balance. And that's like a beautiful alignment. And sometimes you're in a season of your life where you don't want that opposition and you don't want that challenge and you just want it to flow and you want to like power run with someone who's like right in your same vibration. And it's just a season and like where you're at. But like relational astrology is just ultimately looking at that chart and saying, this is what it is. And let's not try to pretend like they're who they're not. Right. And then
Yeah.
building from that place. So it's really cool, actually. And definitely when you're working with like clients, you can understand how they learn and how they're listening to you. And when you're working with like collaborators in your business, it's like, what are their talents? What do they bring to the
Yeah.
table and letting them shine in that? And then you know what you can serve. So there's layers and layers to all of it.
Do you ever have to advise people not to partner together or like, hey, this is not going to work out for you guys. You are not matched right now.
Yeah, I think that's the number one fear I get, especially when I'm doing like romantic relationships. Like people will come to me and they'll be like, I really want to do a reading with my husband or my partner, but I'm afraid you're going to tell us we're not compatible. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you you're not compatible. I'm going to bring up who you each are. And then you see each other for who you are and you get to
Yep.
make that like awareness decision. And with business, oftentimes, I think it's like when you know who someone is and you have that self awareness and you can say they're going to present a lot of challenges and obstacles when I'm just not in that time and space. Maybe in 3 years when I get like my business off the ground or I'm more in alignment with what I want, I can deal with the opposition and the growth. And maybe you just need someone that's more in alignment. So I really work on helping people understand like what energy do you want to call in and where are you at in your process. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely times I'd say more so on launches or opening businesses. There's definitely hard conversations where someone is like hell bent on like launching at a certain time. And I'm like, this is such a permanent thing. Like that business will always have the birth chart of Mercury retrograde or their wedding. I'm like, no, Saturn and Venus are square. Do you want your entire to have challenges? No, like I try not to doom and gloom like that. I'm really not that kind of astrologer, but I'm like, I'm gonna like keep poking until you get the memo.
Yeah, and just the fact that you mentioned our businesses have a birth chart.
Oh,
So,
that's wild. I didn't even think about that.
yeah, like what is it from the day that you actually think about it and it's the idea, or is it like the day the LLC is born? Like, what date is that?
For me, I always say it's like when it's birthed into the world, right? So, like, if it's in your mind and you're working on it behind the scenes, that's like it being in the birth canal, right? Like you're building it, you're making it come to fruition. When does the world get to see it, right? Like that. So for some people, it is the LLC, right? Like even if they're not announcing it to the public until a certain day, but they're filing that LLC. some people already have an LLC filed, but they're opening like a second business, right? With like a DBA. And then I'm like, then we're going to go by like your launch party. Like, when are you welcoming people to buy your service, your gift? Some people, they launch with like a course or a podcast. So, it
Yeah.
kind of depends on the business owner, but it's like, when are you ready to bring it to the world and be like in? So, yeah,
Yeah.
You put
And
skin in the
yeah,
game.
yeah.
yeah.
Does
When
it
can
does it
people like see it, know it exists?
yeah. Does it have do businesses have, like? Because I know you have your birth chart and everything, but you have, like, your what is it, your star sign, it's
hmm
right? And
hmm
then in there, a moon sign or a sun sign, there's all kind of signs, right?
You have every planet in you. So, backing it way up, this is the philosophy of astrology. And this is like what blows everyone's mind. So, if you're like listening and you're a business owner and you're like, okay, I get it, but like, I'm not quite sure I get it, right? This is like the basic principle. You're a soul, you come to Earth school, you have a journey, you have a mission. We can look in your birth chart, we can see what the mission is, especially your business. Like, we can see the North Star, like, what is the mission here? So you come earthside, you have to embody a vehicle, right? Your vessel, your physical form that you're going to drive around Earth school in. And so when you come earthside and you embody this vehicle, you inhale and you take your first breath. So your birth chart is a screenshot of the sky at the moment you took that first breath. With that first breath, you are inhaling the energy of the cosmos. So you are inhaling where Mercury was in relationship to you, where the sun was in relationship to you. Like, where everything was, you inhaled it. So you have all 12 zodiac signs, you have all planets, all of the energies are within you. That is your map. And then we move
Okay.
forward from that. So every time there's like a Mercury retrograde or this or that is happening, it is affecting your energetic blueprint that you inhaled. That's why things impact everyone differently. And that's why we need to be so intentional about when we're launching things, positively
Yeah.
going to affect it.
Yeah. So how did you get into astrology? Like, how, because astrology kind of confuses me. So I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it's very overwhelming and there's so much going on. And so, like, I get confused with it. So how we like, what made you, pivot? What made you decide to pivot? Did something happen and you were like, I really enjoyed this? Or,
Yeah.
how did
Yeah.
that
I
happen?
have always been into astrology since I was a little girl. I know for a fact it's past life. Like, I know the language of the stars from many lifetimes because when I talk about astrology, it's not like a course. I didn't take a course. I didn't like have a mentor. I literally get like channeled messages when I talk about astrology. So it's super unique and I've known this since I was a child, but then again, I like went to college. I was going to be a psychologist, very similar to astrology, right? Like
Yeah.
understanding people. So I went to school for psychology, got my bachelor in psych, bachelor in human services, and then crazy a bachelor in criminal justice because I thought I wanted to like do forensic psychology and work with people in prisons and stuff, but decided that is not my personality, went into bartending, did that for a decade and worked corporate, and then went into beauty and worked corporate. And then, fast forward to I am 33 years old, decide to be an entrepreneur. I probably would have went into astrology right away, but there wasn't a market for it, right? Like, if I would have done this 10, 15 years ago, I don't think I would have been as successful. And yeah, there are great astrologers out there, and lots of businesses have astrologers on staff, right? Warren Buffett said millionaires don't use astrologers, billionaires do. There's many corporate
I
companies
love
that have
that.
astrologers.
Yeah, they
But
do.
for a small girl like me in a LLC situation, I just put it on the back burner. But the whole time I was like reading charts, channeling messages, like doing it for fun. And then, like I said, after 3, 4 years, I was like, this isn't just like a thing I can ignore any longer. Like, this is my thing. This
Yeah.
is how I'm supposed to serve the world. And so, burning down little parts of my business, like the cosmetology business and the salon and the services I offer, like little by little to build this up has been like the yin and the yang, right? When you know in your soul this is what you're supposed to do, but you're like, is anyone going to pay me? How do I make money? Right. And so, yeah, it's definitely like a soul thing for sure.
Oh, yeah,
And
you
I
can
can
feel that pull, like, whatever you don't like, I felt it for a long time before I ever pulled the trigger on starting the business, like, I was like, "I need to get like, I gotta stop doing this corporate thing, it's not good for me, I don't like it, it's hurting me, it's hurting my family." I didn't know what I wanted to do, and then, like, slowly as, like, I allowed that idea of business ownership to be in my head, And then slowly I started getting signs from the universe like, hey, the cannabis is becoming legal. Hey, here's Dope CFO. It's a program that teaches you how to do accounting for cannabis. And all these signs started pointing. And then I'd get reminders of like, I did criminal justice minor, all the stats and seeing like populations that were disproportionately targeted. And I was like, that's how I help. That's how I do it right there.
Yes, I love that. What is your sun sign?
Taurus.
Okay,
Bull.
Taurus bull. Claire, your sun sign is
I'm an Aquarius.
oh, oh, I love it. Y'all are both fixed energies. So like once you get in
Yeah.
it, you're in it. Like Taurus is fixed, Aquarius is fixed. They're complementary like signs. One is
Oh, well,
water, like
that's good to know.
the earth and the air, like they work very well together. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I
'cause
love
I'm
that.
like, I knew I love summer. Yeah, because I'm like a type of person where I'm either 1,000% or I'm fucking 0%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there is no in between. I'm
We don't
not
have
fucking
class.
doing it
Full
or
ass.
Yep,
yeah.
you're fixed energies. So it's great as like business collaborators because once you're fixated on what you want to do, it's like that staying power, like you
Yeah.
get stuck. But then unsticking things can be kind of the challenge,
Yeah.
unraveling or adapting and being flexible. So it's great that you understand each other, but you bring different elemental qualities where Summer, you're more like earth and practical and tangible. Like you're the one who sent me like the checklist and you're like, we got to concrete this where Claire's like, visionary and like it's in the mind, it's in the air, it's like the
Yeah.
rebellion, like the unconventional, like let's move it forward. Like when are we gonna do this? Where are we going? Someone's
Yep.
like, all
That's
right, let me
probably
take the notes and fit.
That is
that's
so on
that's
point.
that's probably why I'm always so overwhelmed because I'm like, "It's just all up here," and I'm
And I'm
just
like,
Like you
calm
never
down.
anchor it
Here's the
down.
checklist. I've been taking notes. I know what we're doing.
Yep.
yeah,
She's
because I'll be freaking
grounding the
out.
air, the thought.
Yeah, because I'll be freaking out about something and Summer's like, "I've already thought about it. This is what we're doing." Like, oh my
You already
god.
got a roadmap.
Yep. Love it. I see it. I see it.
Oh my God.
So this is so cool. So I can't wait to go look at my birth chart. Like I can't wait to go look at my business's birth chart. Like that, I've got
Yeah.
to figure out. I know it was 2016. I just can't remember if it was like May or June. That's super cool. When did you start yours? Summer and it's in 2020, right?
Officially November 21, I think. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, I don't know the date. I gotta look
but I
the
don't
date
know
up.
if that's when it was birth. I have to look
Yeah,
back and see because I was doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes first, before I did the LLC. So I'll have to look
yeah.
at
And
the
did you save? Didn't you? You like did it the right way, and you saved up a cushion and quit your day job, didn't you, Summer? Like you actually like did it right.
yeah, since corporate used me, I used corporate right back. Like I saw that they were hurting for people in like during busy season. So I worked busy season. I negotiated the highest price and then I pieced out. Like that's like, bye. Bye, Felicia. I don't feel bad about it.
I
No.
wouldn't either.
Lots
It's
of whatever.
money. They were probably billing you out at like $600 and paying you like
Probably. Yeah.
150. So
Um, so I always like to like I love having different entrepreneurs on because everyone comes from like the industries are so different. And this is obviously very unique. And I'm super interested in everything because you're hitting the nail, you're hitting everything right on the nail. It's a little eerie. But, just like we always like to tie it into like entrepreneurs. So how do you think astrology can help business owners navigate challenging relationships, whether it's clients, team members, or partners?
Yeah, I love that. That's like so spot on because businesses are built on relationships, right? It is the foundation of business. Without relationships, you don't have customers and clients. Without relationships with your, support staff, whether that is like a virtual assistant or it's your CPA, like all of this is built on relationships. Being even an entrepreneur, even when you're like a solo entrepreneur, you're never solo, right?
Yeah.
And so really it's learning a little bit about like each person's personality. So my main goal is for everyone to understand their moon sign, which is more important than their sun sign. And maybe once people know this, then if you know your client in front of you, for example, your moon sign is what you need for safety, security, and comfort. It's like what makes you feel safe and soothed. And if you don't feel safe and soothed, you have like a little trigger button, right? Like everyone has a little trigger when it's
Yep.
pushed when you don't feel safe. And then that emotion like comes up and out. And so with relationships and compatibility, if you know someone's moon sign and you can present to them in that energy, they're going to feel safe around you. And that is key when you're building relationships. So if it's your client and you know their moon sign, it's like, all right, so what they need to feel safe and secure, for example, is a lot of communication if they have a moon in Gemini. So I need to like text them often. I need to check in with them often. I need to message them often versus someone who maybe has like a moon sign in Aquarius. They're going to be more detached. They're just kind of like, leave me alone until I need you, until I need to solve a problem. Like, then
Yep.
you got to be there for me. Right. And so you can
Yeah.
serve people in the way that they need to be served. And then also when you're working in like collaborations and, hiring a CPA or hiring someone, it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of foundationally how we're going to merge and
Yeah.
understanding people really is just the foundation of it. So there's many different layers to it.
Did you take that into account when you hired Claire?
I did not know, but I feel like I have this thing where I can like play the guessing game of like rising signs and listening to how they speak. I'm like, all right, they're talking just like, with love languages, we give our love language that we want. Our
Yeah.
moon sign is very similar. So like she was just very like nurturing and understanding and was like, it's gonna be fine. Like, we're gonna get this organized. Like, I got your back. And so I was like, all right, her moon sign's probably Cancer or it's definitely Capricorn. It's something that's like nurturing and support staff situated. And I was like, oh, that makes my Cancer moon feel so safe. I feel like you're mothering me, you're cradling me. It's so good. So
Well,
yeah, it's interesting. I was to hire a realtor for something, and literally I put on the Facebook post, like looking for a realtor, blah blah blah. Ideally has a sun, moon, and rising in these signs.
Oh my god.
So that's gonna be part of the application.
that
We
is
need to
so
start getting birthdays of our prospects. That way we know how
yes.
to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and in my
And
app like, in my podcast that I launched, I did, like, 4 episodes. I launched with 4, so people could binge, and I went right to the moon signs. I was like, "You gotta know about moon signs. Everyone needs to know about moon signs. Like, this is how you're gonna have those relationships." So, even if someone just gives you their birth date, you could figure out a lot from that. And I wanna make that more common. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want it to be weird if
yeah,
someone asks you what your moon sign is. Like, great, they wanna get to know you. They wanna understand you. Tell them.
yeah. Yeah, that makes me feel good because I always, I mean, I'm sure you probably get that too, imposter syndrome. I always feel like I do a shitty job, and I'm like, I probably didn't hope that much, but I hope I did.
Well, you left an impression because I interviewed, like, no joke, 20 some CPAs over like a 2-year period. I worked with some of them and they kind of did not do the job. And then I like was like, I'm going to find the best one. And I interviewed literally 20 people. Like, it was
Oh my
insane.
god.
My man was like, are you ever going to pick one? Or you're just going to let your client say, "Hey, is this an avoidance tactic?" And I was like, but I talked to her in March of, I think it was what, this year? And then
Yeah,
I
I think so.
circled way back. It was like June or July, and I was like, "Remember me that kind of ghosted you? Well, I interviewed all these other people and they sucked, so please come back." I and
And I remembered everything about you and everything. I was like, I
you,
loved her. She's got like really awesome stuff going on. She's in Florida. So I love that. I love that.
Oh, you're
yeah,
in Florida? What part?
Tampa, where we had
Okay.
2 hurricanes this year.
Yeah. So yeah, because we had to reschedule this like twice because of both, it was two hurricanes, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's, like, been super hard, like, talking about business and entrepreneurship. It has allowed me to recognize in my business that I cannot be dependent on the local economy because now people aren't really coming to markets. They're not investing in much in services. Like, I'm pivoting completely, mostly online so that I can pick up people from other markets that are doing well, whether it's other countries or other cities and selling my products more online. Because here it was very local. It was like a hair
Yeah.
salon and then local markets and local events and retreats. And like, that ain't happening here in Tampa for a while. People are hurting and there's just not as much money circulating. So that was an
Yeah.
eye-opening thing as an entrepreneur for sure.
And this is totally a side subject, but I know that what is like the toxins thing, and you talked about the mold, or was it mold you said?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so I do my astrology. Like I said, my other business is health coaching and I work in an integrative clinic. And so helping people, detox and all of that. And the mold issue is awful. Awful. Like volunteers going to help people gut their houses and not wearing masks and now they're sick, even though they didn't have their home
Uh,
managed. And every day at the clinic, I'm testing everybody for mold. I'm like, this is super serious. Yeah.
Is it
Crazy.
like in their lungs?
So if you breathe in a mold spore and you
Uh-huh.
have an environment in your body, like maybe you get a lot of like yeast infections or candida or dampness, like you get a lot of rashes or fungal infections, you have the perfect living environment for molds. You could just breathe in one spore and it will
Oh
like
my
numb
god.
itself in your body and the slow
Yeah.
burn. You wouldn't notice it until you notice it. And
It's like
then
The Last of Us,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
the mushrooms start going into our bodies and, like, taking over, and we become
Yeah.
Yes.
zombies.
Yeah.
I'm super into all of like as a health coach, I'm like way woo woo, right? Like spiritual, it's holistic soul sisters. Like I love all the things. I'm so supportive of like psychedelic therapy and all of that. But I'm always like, listen, before you decide that you want to do like any kind of like medicinal mushrooms, I want to test you for mold. Because if you have mold in your body or candida or fungus in your body and you start taking mushrooms, it might be great for your mind, but it is breeding and colonizing a whole thing in your gut that would be pervasive down the road and leads to ruining your immune system. And then in like 10 years, we could get some sort of systemic C
Yep.
word. I'm not going to say it, but yeah, very much. And it's not because of the mushrooms, right? This is where I hate science because they're going to be like, oh, taking medicinal mushrooms leads to cancer. It's like, no, it's a fungus that bred the fungus of mold.
Yeah.
Mold caused this, right? Like, let's get down to the science that's real.
So
So, yeah.
Oh,
we
that's
probably have a lot of listeners who are dabbling in psychedelics, so is there a way to get
I'm
one of
like,
those tests at home?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I not really at home, but here's the symptoms you wanna look out for that can indicate that maybe you wouldn't be a great candidate until you get this under control. Do you get chronic or constant yeast infections or bacterial infections as women? Or even if you get a lot of, like, yeast in the mouth, dry, flaky scalp, rashes, anything that's fungal, right? Like, you can tell when it's fungal. If you have those kind of symptoms, then you have an environment that is going to harbor and breed that spore. So what I would say is you want to start taking some sort of like antifungals, and it doesn't have to be a script. You can take all the herbal stuff, just do a good Google search and start bringing down that like candida or fungal infection in the body. And then you'll be ready. So we do testing at the clinic. We do virtual patients. People can send in their samples. Like we
Oh,
take patients from all around the country. They just send in like hair, urine, and saliva analysis. But yeah, just dampness. We don't want dampness in the gut. We don't want dampness in the body.
yeah, good for the mushrooms, not good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They love
Yeah.
it. They're like, hell yeah. I can do
Yeah, we living good up in here.
I can do some
Um,
work here.
yeah.
Toast is
Yeah.
chef's kiss.
It's so crazy because now that you say that, it makes sense because I've read that book Super Gut, and
Uh-huh.
it talks about SIBO. So I think that's like
SIBO,
overgrowth of
C-diff. Yeah.
bacteria and like
Mhm.
yeah. So holy shit, that's I'm like because I've microdosed mushrooms before, and
Yeah.
I'm like I didn't have any crazy yeast infections or scratchy scalps, thank God. But
Yeah.
I
You
would
can
have
have it
never thought
before.
about that.
If you
Yeah,
had
me
it
neither.
before and then you started taking the mushrooms, it would probably get increasingly worse. So that's something you definitely just want to pay attention to. So that's your little cherry on top to the relational astrology. Nice.
Uh, I think on your webpage it says something about Reiki, and I've always been interested in what exactly that is, and um, how do energy blockages show up in relationships, and how can you release them?
Ooh, yeah,
Yes,
that's so
that's a
good.
good one.
So for me, like I don't necessarily offer Reiki, but I work a lot with the chakras and the energetic body and teaching people how to clear and remove these blockages. So think of it this way, everything before it manifests into our physical reality is unseen first, right? So you have an idea, you have like this inspiration, aha, as you're taking a shower, it's energy first. And then you take that idea and you turn it into like an actual thing. So the same thing works with like our energetic body. So we store emotions and we have different sensations, and all of that is like in our system. So working through some of the stuck blockages and the stuck patterning in our energetic body allows us to be a clear channel, right? For inspiration and guidance and knowing in our business what we should do, what we're called to do, is because you're allowing this energy to flow. So, for example, out of our chakra system, we have our root chakra, which is located at the base of your spine. Most entrepreneurs have a very weak root chakra.
I
Because
know
the
I do.
root chakra is your sense of safety and security and stability and your ability to not have fear, right? To trust in yourself and to have like this inner like foundation. And that's really hard to do as an entrepreneur because just when you think you got it figured out, it gets knocked out of balance
Oh
again.
my
So
God, yes.
sometimes it's as simple as like root chakra work is definitely like it can be aromatherapy, it can be color therapy, it can be mindset work. It can honestly even being strength training. Being a health coach, I've done like personal training and stuff. Working your lower body, like your glutes, your hamstrings, like that is the foundation of your body. And when that is strong, we feel stronger, right? And then we can make decisions because we're like, damn, I'm strong. Like I'm not Bambi on weak legs anymore. Like I'm
Yeah.
literally, I got muscle. And that relates energetically, right? To like how the mind is thinking, like, I am strong. I feel strong in my body. I feel strong in
Yeah.
my legs. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah. So, like, I will jam out to death metal if I need to feel strong, and I'm, like, in there headbanging and, like, dancing around the house. Is that
Yes.
in the root
Oh, yeah.
chakra?
That is definitely root chakra, right? Because think of music too, right? So everything is energy. So when I'm using like essential oils for the root, I'm going to look at essential oils that are like forests, right? That are very earthy, very grounded. If I'm going to use light, I'm using like dark colors, dark reds, like browns, blacks. Like that's going to pull things down. Music, think of rock music. It is low tones, right? It is like, like that deep, deep. That is root chakra. But then you're, like, doing, like, crown chakra work, and it's like, like, high frequency, right? So, yeah, you're spot on. You're doing that root chakra work, girl.
I was just wondering, I was like, "I'm craving death metal today." Like, I was jamming out. I was like, "I'm
Cleanse that chakra, girl.
Spot on,
like,
girl.
remember who the fuck I am."
Hell yeah. That's so funny because I have a chakra cleansing app and you can set it on a timer for like a minute each chakra and I always feel good after it. But like you don't think that it really works until you're like, holy shit. Because like you said, like all the woo woo stuff, like it literally all works.
Yeah.
So it's,
I
I
I
mean,
think in general, business owners are terrible at taking care of themselves because
I
there's
think
always work to do. Like, my boyfriend's like, "Are you done for the day?" Like, I'm never done.
just one
Never
more
done.
thing. And then it's like 5 hours later.
Yeah, we're terrible at self-care, so, like, if it feels like we're doing something selfish, which it's not, which is, we talked about this before we started recording, but, like, why we started this is because you're like, everything you're saying is, like, the foundation of why we started this. It's all interconnected, so, like, when you don't take care of yourself, your business will suffer, and so the most unselfish thing you can do is take care of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I love to do that's, like, simple and easy is, like, the mindset work, right? Do it while you're sleeping. So, I'll put on, like, a YouTube video that's, like, 7 hours long, and either I'll do, like, all 7 chakras or I'll pick, like, one of the chakras and just sleep to that tone, that frequency the entire night. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm like, "Alright, like, I feel good." Or the first thing in the morning is I do, like, Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you ever listen to Abraham Hicks. She will I can swear, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She will mind fuck you into believing that you can literally do anything and money is gonna land in your lap. Like,
I never. I know, right?
brainwash
And we
brainwash
just
you into believing that you have this vortex of manifestation, and all you gotta do is, like, believe it and, like, think the best thinking thought, and that'll lead to another thinking thought, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like a millionaire. And I binge her, like, first thing in the morning, 7
and we
minutes. Like,
just
Abraham, tell me
Abraham
what to do.
I wrote it down, yeah.
Abraham Hicks, like, I'm telling you, and you can do, like, Abraham Hicks for money, for business, for relationship, like, you can add in whatever little sub context, but literally, she's like, "You're gonna have a good morning. People are gonna pay you. It's gonna be amazing." And by the end of it, you're like, "People are gonna pay me."
yeah.
I love that, and it's actually proven. I can't remember who did it, but he was like, "Look around the room. Your mind is very powerful. Look around the room. Tell me how many things you see are brown."
Yeah,
So you go
yeah,
looking for those things. You'll even take things that are gold and maybe turn them into brown. Be like, that counts, right? Like, so like when you talk about yourself, when you talk about whether you're gonna win or lose or fail or succeed, you
yeah.
will find evidence to support that. So it's so important what you say to yourself. And even having somebody else say it, you're like, okay, okay, let me find evidence, let me find that proof. And so you go about your day believing that and then collecting that evidence and like it goes into your very DNA and into your business and into your employees.
And that's exactly what she says, and it's something I've learned very much in business that your current reality is what you think about, right? So it's like, I didn't make any sales today. I didn't make any sales today. Am I going to make sales tomorrow? I didn't make any sales yesterday. And every time you think these thoughts, you're creating that reality to
Yeah.
manifest tomorrow, to manifest next week. And so a lot of her messaging is literally, like I said, mind fucking you into believing a different thought, just getting you out of your
Yeah.
head, the thoughts you're thinking into a different thought. And then thinking these delusional thoughts of people are going to pay me. And like it will then manifest in a week or a month or whatever into a different reality. So just stop thinking the thoughts that you're thinking because they're not serving you. But how could you not notice? Like she always says, like, you want a new car? Well, every day you walk in your garage, the car's not there, right? So then you don't see the car and then you don't believe you can have the car because you don't have the car and then the car isn't there. And that's how it is in business, right? Like, especially at the beginning. You might not have testimonials. You might not have clients. You might not have any success stories to share. So you're like in that rabbit hole until you become so delusional to believe, like, I've already served 100 people. Like, I've already changed lives, like everything is in the unseen before it becomes seen.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because I've heard some people say, like, what the life you're living now is the life you thought about a few years earlier, or
Yeah.
a year earlier or something like that. So, and I mean, it really is true. Gosh damn it, it is so true.
I know. Like,
Yeah, we created this. I mean, that's part of I think that's one of the things that was so alluring. Like in accounting, you don't get to build anything. Like you're just crunching numbers. But in accounting as a business owner, you get to see the fruits of your labor. You get to hire people, you get to change lives, you get to actually build something that never existed before. And that is so cool. And I think, people don't realize that they're doing that in their lives every day anyways. Like you're so right. What you're thinking about today will become your reality. What you ruminate, that thought that continues over and over and over again, you collect evidence to prove it right. So you're going to walk
Yep.
that path.
yeah.
Yep. What is it? Synchronicity? Is that what it is? Is that
Yes,
synchronicity?
I didn't know there was a
I don't
word.
know. Bashar. Have you ever heard of Bashar?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I love me some Bashar. Have you
Go
heard of
down
him,
to like
Summer?
the rabbit
Wow.
hole. And it's
Yeah.
Is he
thing.
a philosopher?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like a
he's a channel. He's
channel
like,
from different like star seeds, just like Abraham Hicks. Her name's Esther Hicks, and she channels like the star seeds of Abraham. And so it's like a channeled medium message,
Okay. I'll have to
which
check
I
it
can
out.
relate to because that's what I do in astrology. I feel like I get like all these channeled messages. When I read someone's chart, I could talk to you for 5 hours. Like I could just start and go on and on and on. So I feel like a lot of like my channel gifts is like, what does this person need to hear right now? Like, what is the message that is going to serve them for this moment? Right. And that's part of
Yeah.
that channeling.
And so, like, if an entrepreneur or anyone that's like listening to this, they're like, I want this service, I want to have this done for me and understand myself a little bit better, who I should pair with, what my season is right now. What's the process there? Like, is there an intake or yeah? I'll let
Yeah,
you.
so I love to like first kind of get to know what they're needing, right? Where are they at? And so sometimes that work is like first understanding themselves, right? Usually when we become entrepreneurs, we're going through some sort of life change. We're getting out of a relationship or a marriage. We're leaving our job. Maybe our kids went to college. Like there's some that life thing that's going on. And then understanding that within their own life. So I love to kind of just see their own birth chart and help them kind of understand the season and the cycle and the timeline of their own life and then looking at their business, right? Maybe they haven't launched their business yet. We need to strategize like the best time because not only does your business have a birth chart, but we're in a collective consciousness of energy. So if like right now through the rest of the year, here's your little fun fact for all entrepreneurs, and I'm having these conversations on a daily basis with people, is this right now in this moment in November, we are going to be the most energized that we are until February of next
Oh
year.
shit!
We're about to have a Mercury and Mars retrograde. So, like, once these energies kick off next week and in through December, it is not an ideal time to do your typical end of the year planning. Like, Mercury retrogrades over the holidays mean travel hiccups, travel disruptions, not a good time to sign contracts, not a good time to like anything mental. Mars slows down our energy, our chi, our vitality. We should not be exerting energy outwards. And people are going to start feeling this in the collective more and more. So clients aren't going to feel motivated to sign up. They're not going to feel motivated to make decisions. You might not have an easy time wrapping up your typical end of the year stuff because
Wow.
Mercury's retrograde and your mind is like, I don't know what to do. So again, when I'm talking to a business owner, it's like, where are you at in your business? Maybe this 6 weeks, while this is going on collectively, we retreat and we go into creation mode. We go back to your website. We go back and edit things. We go back and review. We go back and like do the back end stuff. Or maybe you're ready to launch a course or podcast or invent a new product, right? Like, let's go inward. And then during February, March, like, we're going to launch. So I love to kind of work with them on that. And sometimes I work with businesses on like one-off events in their business where they want to build relationships with their team, their staff, their employees. And that's like so much fun. It's kind of like a one-day retreat where everyone gets together and we look at each other's charts and they start to understand each other as a team. Who has what strengths? How do you need to communicate with each person? What does each person need to feel safe and secure? What is like what do they feel appreciated and valued, right? As a business owner, I want to know if someone would prefer words of affirmation or a bonus at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And so I love doing that like within a business. If you just want to build more camaraderie, like teamwork stuff, sometimes that's how I work with business owners. And others, like I have a girl I've worked with for 2 years and she just kind of has me on retainer. And when she's ready to like launch or check in, she just calls me and we're kind of working systematically throughout her business. We've done readings for her and her business partner, in different seasons. We've done them for her employees. And then we've also done like throughout her launches. So it can be as one off, like a retreat day. It can be as personal as your own chart, or it can be like a long term thing. So I just like to get to know someone one on one and see how I can serve them. So that's probably the best for business owners, if that helps. Like
Man,
there's
Yeah.
other aspects to it, but that's kind of where I
yeah.
would.
That's so for our coaching clients, we're talking about doing like personality assessments because we've run into issues, like there's
Yeah.
just some personalities that don't do well with the what we have. And so I've been reaching out. I reached out to Claire, was like, hey, do you want to be a coach? That way, like if I don't fit with someone, they have somebody else. But we'd love to talk offline about perhaps doing like a shorter something we can assess with our clients before taking them on.
Yeah.
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 Costs us energy and money to onboard them to only to find that out later.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
honestly, like the big part of that is as a relational astrologer, I want you to be able to relate to as many people as possible so you can make as much money as possible, right? Like, not everyone is for you, but if you understand your astrology and you understand theirs, you can harmonize and blend that energy. You can work with it. You can be like, okay, now I know who they are. I know how they need to be spoken to. I know how I need to nurture them. Like, it's as easy as that, where if you don't have that data point and you're guessing, that's where we get the imbalance, right? That's where you're not resonating with them and you're having friction because you don't know how to plug in and show up to their energetic blueprint. But when you have the knowledge to plug in, and that's like my gift of astrology, when I look at someone's chart and I'm reading their chart, I know exactly how to speak to them. I know exactly how to plug in to what they're doing. And then you can take every client because you're like, all right, with this person, I got to be this way.
Yeah.
And this person, I got to be that way. Because remember, you breathe in all the stars. Like you have all the energies in you. It's about learning to be flexible and figure out which one to show up where, like a little puzzle piece.
I
This
will
is
say I am a little bullish in who I wanna deal with. There's some personalities that I'm like, not worth it.
Yeah,
yeah,
and you
same.
know that off the bat.
And it's good. Like it would help us accountants, and like I'm really bad at selling my services. So,
Yeah.
to know how to speak to someone and
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to sell myself as much, that
I wish
Yeah,
everyone would
definitely
just
figure
wear
out
a
your
tag
own.
that says what they were. Like, just wear your name tag.
Yeah.
That is my mission in the world is for everyone to understand who they are and to be able to communicate that, right? Like how great would it be to be able to get on a call with someone and I could be like, "Hey, I'm a Mercury and Virgo, so I need you to talk to me this way. Like numbers, data, facts. Like I don't want the fluff. I don't need you to be
Yeah, that's me. I
I
think
just
That's
tell me the info."
That's exactly
so.
how me and Summer was, because had we had each had a few shittier failed partnerships, and it's like just because we put it straight, like you just tell it to me straight and
Yeah.
communicate. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you're thinking. That's all we need. Like just if people just communicated more, that would save the world so much bullshit.
I think we're all speaking different languages, though. I feel
Right.
that with
That's it.
women.
We have 12
I'm like,
different Mercuries in the world. So when
you're
I'm
saying
presenting, there's 12 different, I call it your processing system. Everyone has a different processing system. So I'm saying the same words. People are just processing it differently. Like we have people that don't even process the words, they're processing the energy. they're feeling my energy, they're feeling my body language. They don't even hear a thing out of my mouth, right? Those are your like Pisces Virgo people or Pisces Mercury people. So it's interesting. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
my mission. We're gonna all figure this out. In 5 years, we're gonna be like, oh, thank God for Mandy out here saving the world. And
I'm
Yes.
gonna start listening to the podcast. That's because
I
there's
know.
so much to unpack here. There's just not a you do need a whole podcast for this, but, crap, what was I gonna ask? What was I gonna ask? I got nervous and I forgot. Oh, um, um, sorry, I got nervous again. Is every so, like, for the moon signs, is everyone in the so if they're have a sun sign, do they all have the same moon sign, or is that different, like
Nope.
oh, it can be
Nope.
different?
Think of it this way. You have a sun season, right? So it's like the sun is in, we'll use you for example. The sun was in Taurus for 30 days, right? They're all babies born in those 30 days are Taurus sun babies. So the sun moves through one constellation once a month. But in that 30-day cycle, the moon's cycle is 28 days, right? Like the women's lunar cycle is 28 days. So every 28 days, we have a full moon. So in one sun season, all the babies born during Taurus sun season, whether it's day 1 or day 30, there's going to be 12 different moon signs. So you have
Oh.
12, everyone could be born a Taurus sun, but
Yeah.
it could be 12 different moon signs,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
that lunar
That's
cycle.
that's crazy.
The moon is the fastest moving celestial body, right? It moves signs every 2 to 3 days. And that's why they actually say if you have to make a decision, wait a couple days because you might feel differently. Because
Yeah.
the moon is how we feel, it's our emotion. So you'll feel differently as the moon moves into a different energy.
And it's so true. Like just well, like then and in the nursing home, I used to work in a nursing home in the Alzheimer's unit,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like
We're so sensitive
you
to the lunar cycles.
yes, and you hear people, it was a full moon last night, because everybody's going crazy the next morning, and like, and it's so true. Like you can feel the energy, and you mentioned the collective earlier, and I totally believe all of that, and I wanted to also tell you about the calendar that you write. It's freaking amazing, and it's it was spot on with health concerns. I think it was a couple months ago you had wrote, it was I guess like an entry, or you had written a paragraph, or a page, and then it has like the journal prompts, and it says, tells you what to be aware of, what's going to happen, what to look for, and like the health scare one was spot on with like my dad's cancer diagnosis. So, like that really hit home, and I was just like, Mandy is fucking legit. Like Mandy, she's I mean it's right. It like, yes, my dad's diagnosis is scary, and it's it is what it is, but it makes you that entry, that day, whatever it was, I think it was a cycle. I'll have to look. I see, like,
Yeah, probably
I
Virgo
get so
sun season.
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, it it makes you realize, because I had also heard about, like, 3 or 4 more people that I knew with getting cancer diagnoses during that time, and so, it kinda makes you feel a little bit better, I guess, in a sense, about what's going on in the world, that makes sense,
I
like,
think it makes sense of the chaos, right? That there are cycles and there's lessons and there's things that we have to experience as a soul on earth, right? Like if it was just rainbows and butterflies, we would never grow, we would never change. And so the astrology really makes sense of these cycles and patterns and the whys and the whens, most importantly, the whens. So, like, for example, with business owners and even in our personal lives, you ever have like those seasons where it's like 3 years that's like super challenging financially? And then you have like
Yes.
3 years where it's like really hard in relationships. Like you lost a bunch of friends and like it's just hard, in certain areas of our life. And we can see that in our chart. It's a season where you're going to be hammered with the hard, hard, hard lessons and obstacles and challenges for just that cycle. So it brings like this awareness of like, oh, this is why it's happening. And it's only going to last this long. And if I learn this particular lesson, the challenges get easier, right? It's like, oh, I graduated. So it does. It brings like back to your point, like it makes sense of the chaos. And
I
Yeah.
really love the way you present information because I like the woo woo thing. Like some stuff is presented so vaguely and so generally. I'm like, that could apply to anyone. But you really scientifically, energy doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It changes forms, just like water. It doesn't disappear. It turns into vapor.
Yeah.
It can freeze. It can be a solid. It can be liquid. And that's how I've always processed. Like, all right, well, if there's soul and that's energy, then there is a collective. Like when you die, your body gets eaten, it gets absorbed by other things, and it goes back to the collective, but the soul as well in the same manner.
Yeah.
Um, and so the way you tie that all together is it really appeals to like the logical side where I'm like, I know that there's energy, I feel it.
Yeah.
And I can feel myself going through certain things or being pulled in a certain direction. I can't explain logically how that's happening or why, but you do it in such a great way that keeps you're preserving both worlds. It's really beautiful.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you for that
Y-
reflection. I
Hey,
appreciate that because it is.
yeah.
It's very conceptual. Astrology is very conceptual, right? And I do love to make it tangible and practical. It's down to like I consider each planet a life coach, right? And I like to give them an archetype. And I'm like, I see Mars like in the left lane hitting the gas pedal because he's the masculine. And I see Jupiter like dancing on a table, drinking a bunch of shots because he's the planet of expansion and abundance and fun. And yeah, so I think that is like a big part of my mission is make people realize like it does matter and to the level that you want it to matter in your life, in your business, or your relationships.
Yeah. Like it's if you don't learn the lesson, it'll just keep repeating itself. You know?
And we know that to be a fact, whether you believe in astrology or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah, I've been taught the same lesson many times over and over, and then I'm like, "Oh, enough now, I'll change."
like
Yeah,
shit. All right,
get
fine.
it.
Uh,
Gotta
Yeah,
write your
tell
book sweater.
what is that a calendar? I mean, I know I bought one and I
Yeah,
read
so
it.
it's my astrology journal. I started it so it came
Astrology
from my
journal.
own dark night of the soul. So when I opened my LLC, like I mentioned, I was really sick with mold, hadn't worked in a year. My husband had just left me. I had no like social life because I literally was bedridden and I didn't have my coworkers, right? Because I couldn't work. So I literally like went to the planets. Literally, I was like, be my friends, tell me what to do. And I just started journaling, like new moons, full moons, like just creating like this tea blend and like this chakra and like just really researching. And then a year later, my life looked 180. Like I met my now man. We've been together almost 6 years. Everyone thought he was a rebound. I met him 2 months after my husband like ghosted me. And I opened my LLC. So here I am, like an entrepreneur, like living my best life. I got super healthy. And people are like, how did what happened? And I was like, well, I worked with astrology and they wanted to know how. So I took all those notes and everything and like birthed my soul on paper. So it was the 2020 edition. And oh my God, so embarrassing when I go, I'm gonna do like the 5th year edition and the first edition. I'm gonna do a side by side on my TikTok. So follow me at the Relational Astrologer. And I, as a Virgo perfectionist, look at that first edition and I'm like, I'm embarrassed. Color, formatting was off. Like this girl was just like blind faith, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I can write a book. I can self-publish it.
Hey, it doesn't matter. The
We've
cover doesn't
evolved,
matter.
right?
It's
It was
all that
called the
matters is what's
Astrology Retrograde Journal because retrogrades are about lesson learnings. It's a memory bank with like journal prompts so you can like reflect what is going on in your life during different seasons. And now here we are in the 5th edition of it. And I just keep adding more pages and I channel it the year before. So I wrote this one actually during Hurricane Helene, which was a wild experience because as like it felt literally this hurricane was coming at us in Tampa. We did not know how bad it was going to be. I'm like in a vortex upstairs, just like writing and typing this journal. And yeah. And then people read it a year later and they're like, this is spot on. And I'm like, yeah, I
yeah.
did
It's
it.
it's so crazy, Mandy.
Yes.
Yeah, I
And
freaking love that.
It's a great
because
way to start. If someone's just getting into astrology, start with the journal because you're going to learn moon by moon, day by day. And it's like it simplifies it. Part educational, part interactive.
is that available on your website? Can
Yeah.
people
I have a PDF version where you can just download it right away, which is less, expensive, or I have a hard copy that I can send out and it's like spiraled and you can write in it and everything.
love it.
Yeah,
And then
I have it on my altar. It's super cool. It breaks it down to where
yeah, I
people
wanna
like
get one.
us can understand because
Yeah.
like it's very hard for me to understand that all that kind of stuff.
What
Little
app
by
is it
little,
on?
little by
There's
little.
there's an app I'm on and it gives me like weird horoscopes every day that are they're not horoscopes. It's just like
Is it
love is a
link?
great thing. And I'm like, that's not a horoscope.
No.
I but it's so confusing. There's so many things to read on there. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the
Yeah.
app. I
Yeah, like, I have Moonly, and it's,
don't do it.
like, every day it tells you, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this," and I'm like, "Well, what the fuck can I do today?" Like, "Look,
It's
here's
weird
my
shit.
day."
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
mine's CoStar, and it's
Yeah, you can add me on CoStar. I don't use CoStar because I hate the way that it, like, calculates your chart and everything, but if you add me, I can at least see I can see your chart in the way that I see the chart, and then I can know
my
you.
my horoscope today is be considerate.
Okay.
Always a good memo.
It's
Well,
probably
not any
for
other
me.
day. That's um,
Oh, hold
Oh,
on. My camera
okay.
died. I'll just pop it on my laptop. There we
yeah,
go.
I was gonna
Let's
say like
do it. Hi.
Oh,
we're
shit,
gonna
okay.
we're gonna put all your links and stuff in the thing that we're doing the podcast. And but for our auditory listeners, if you want to shout out your handles and where you can be reached.
Yeah, so it's the Relational Astrologer, all platforms. I have my YouTube channel, which I do a lot of like the astro forecasting. So every new moon and full moon and month ahead forecast, you can follow along,
Ooh.
talk a lot about like what's in the stars for the week ahead. So you can plan your week. My favorite way to connect with people is I have a Telegram channel where every single day I send a voice memo. And this is great for people that are like, my chart is too complicated. Just tell me what to do. Just literally tell me
Yeah.
what to do. So every morning I send a voice memo and I'm like, hey, Astro family, today this is happening. So we don't want to do this. We want to do this. Pay attention to that. And then I also do like education and workshops and we do new and full moon ceremonies. And it's really low ticket. Like I just want it to be easy for people. So I only charge $11.11 a month. But it's just so fun because we can connect there in the community. So after you find me on socials, come join me over on Telegram. And then whenever you're ready for a reading, all of my socials have my link tree and you can look at my calendar. You can reach out. I have a contact form on there if you have questions and get the journal. It's like such a beautiful way to kind of start your
Yeah.
journey, like very
Sweet.
personal development and creates that memory bank. A lot of people don't know what to journal or what to write. So
Yeah.
I have like almost 200 journal prompts per the astro weather. So yeah,
Do you
that's
I just blanked out on what I was gonna ask. Let me think for a second.
Telegram, social.
Telegram. Oh, challenge. Do you have any challenges coming up? So
Yes.
the high vibe 75
Yes.
challenge.
Yes.
Of course, extension season got in my way, but it was so cool. Like, so
Yep.
do you have anything like that coming up again soon?
Yeah. So with my brand Holistic Soul Sisters, I do more of like the health coaching, but we do a lot of energy work and stuff too. So my principle, and this ties in with astrology, is that we detox low vibrations to raise our cellular and energetic vibrations. And so we did in September a 75 high vibe challenge. Most people know like 75 hard.
Yeah.
I do high vibe. And so you get to pick your menu of habits that you want to, do for the 75 days. So I help you figure out what those are. So we are going to do another one starting end of January. We're aligning it with the astrology, letting everyone like get through the new year. It's not going to feel like a new year, like we want to rush into goals. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do a 75 high vibe challenge. And then I am opening up a community. We're calling it the laboratory, where you're going to come in and month by month, we're going to work on different systems in the body. So we're going to have 1 month where we're going to work on liver love and we're going to work on strengthening our liver. We're going to have 1 month where we're working on like skin and like how to get like a fresh face and working on your skin health and like all of that. Energetic health, we'll do 1 month all just on the chakras and the energetic body. So by 1 year, after you've gone through the laboratory, you will have raised your cellular and energetic vibration.
Holy
So that hasn't
shit.
been announced yet. This is the first time I'm
Woo.
saying it out loud. So like,
Oh,
I wonder if this is the birth chart.
I wonder if it is the birth chart. That
But yeah,
sounds.
I'm super passionate about creating the laboratory for everyone.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
so
I definitely
cool.
want to be a part
I
of that.
definitely want to go to the
Yeah.
skin one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can join just for the month, like, if you're interested in just that month of the laboratory, or you can be in it, for as long as you want and have, like, the back catalog of the previous month. So if you're like,
Nice.
"Okay, well, I'm gonna skip this month, but let me go back to, like, the liver one," right? And I'll do this one on my own while they're doing that one. So
Yeah.
just kind of everyone's
That's
bio
really cool.
individual, like,
Oh
so
my god. That's so cool, Mandy. You're such a cool cat.
well, both of you are as well. It's been such a lovely convo, and I love seeing both of you kind of in your elements as well and serving the world. Like literally, as a business owner, we need both of you because I am not a numbers girl. And I speak, I think, for all entrepreneurs that we're like, if it wasn't for you guys being our backbones, we wouldn't make it to the levels that we're dreaming to be. So thank
Yeah,
you.
heck yeah. That's
Yeah,
we're
you
all
do
just
all the
we're all
work.
helping each other out, making a little bit
Yeah.
of cash and exchanging services.
Yep.
So it's been really rewarding and really cool, and hopefully we can extend, some of this is really free knowledge, free knowledge on different aspects of business and different things that we've gone through. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you shared this with us and were able to give us this time. Um
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
and,
it.
and give
Thank you.
birth on camera.
Yes. That's exciting. I feel so honored.
Yes, I love being here. I can't wait to see this podcast evolve and grow. Like, y'all just keep going.
Do y'all have anything else that y'all want to mention? I want to make sure we cover all the basics, and we obviously want to have you back. And we do ask a final questions. I let Summer do that because she's really good at it. But do y'all
I
want
feel
to
like
add
I word it
anything
different
else?
every time. It's I word it different every time, but really it's just there we've come across so many different business owners and we like to get, their feedback on what has been the most like monumental lesson that you've learned or worded a different way. If you could have known one thing before you started your business that would have helped you out and saved you so much time and energy, what would that thing have been?
Yeah.
Hire a fucking accountant. Because literally, we didn't even get into it, but like my tax stuff, my sales tax stuff, like I was like financially traumatized many times. And had I had a CPA or someone to run something by, I probably wouldn't have offered half the services I did. I didn't know about sales tax when it came to events. I didn't know about sales tax when it came to like certain products. Like I was like, I'm literally making $2. Like this is not worth my time, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think the evolution would have been streamlined. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
I
That's
love
it.
that lesson because you're really marketing for us.
No, I
Yeah.
know. Like, it's really genuine and authentic. Cause now I am like, to all my girlfriends, I'm like, listen, I know you're not making any money, but like, do you want to take 4 years and still not make any money because you're back paying on taxes and you're not launching services or products in the right way? And then you got to go back and pay. And like, I've been there. I've been there
Yep.
and I did a lot of things wrong and got my pants scared off of me by the freaking IRS. And I was
Oh
like,
man, those letters are scary.
They are. And
Those
it's
letters are scary. Nobody wants to get
yeah.
this.
yeah.
Like business owners, if you are selling services or products, for sure you have sales tax in your state. You need to look that up. If not, hire clear. If you're selling services, sometimes there is sales tax. You got to look that up. Be prepared.
Yeah. Yep. We just did a bunch of research for Airbnb in Barbados.
Mhm.
So you never know what's taxable.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
yeah,
And when you are a
Mandy had
business
some really
owner
bad
and
you
you're
had some
good at
really
what you
bad
do, keep making your money, let someone else worry about it because it will drain your energy. I can't tell
Oh,
you
yeah.
how many
yeah.
times I spent up for 3, 4 days at the end of the year trying to figure out my taxes when I could have been selling services, when I could have
Yep.
been promoting myself. And here I am like,
Yep.
I can't do math. I've like calculated it sometimes and I can't do a spreadsheet to save my life.
And it costs more in the long run, I feel like, it really does because you look back and you're like, "Fuck, like, I lost out on
Yeah. It
so
costs
much
things you don't
money."
want to pay, like time with your family, how like receiving units of fun when you're not doing that thing that you pay.
And being strategic. How many times did I like buy something and I was like, it's a tax write off. So I'm going to buy it. And then I didn't save the receipt. I did not remember it 6 months later, but I was like literally, yeah, telling myself a story that I wasn't even like accurate. So I was like, I don't even know what I've all bought that I thought was tax deductible. Maybe I should
Oh
have saved the
man.
receipt.
I love that quote. Like I was trying to ship something really big and it was going to cost like $300. And the guy at UPS, he's like, it's a tax write off. I was like, it's still money that I have to pay right now. Like, yeah, but like,
Yeah, the
yeah,
tax write-off is cool, but yeah. Yeah, because you did get burned by you got
Yeah.
really burned by some
I
CPAs
got
and
really
accountants.
burned. I knew I should have sales tax license. I knew it. Did I do it? No. Did I let it go too long? Yeah. Until one day some CPA was like, "Oh yeah, just go ahead and file it and then, we'll figure it all out. And you might have to pay a little bit." So here I am on like line, just zip it down. And I said, "When did you start your business?" So I put the day I put in my LLC 3 years ago. And then that flags up in the system that this girl hasn't been
They
paying taxes in 3 years.
they're
And then some
estimating
dude
it.
called me and started threatening me and was like, "We're gonna come arrest you. You have literally 48 hours to
What?
pay this." And I was like, it was Florida State, it was legit. It wasn't a scam because this just happened. And I was just like, I 48 hours to go through 3 years of, like, stuff? Like, so I called the CPA guy and I told him what was up, and he goes, "I know some people, like, let me go make some phone calls for you, whatever, blah, blah, blah." And then the guy gave me 5 days, and I had to show up in person. So here I'm, like, driving to the place, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pay, like, just give them all my money. I don't care. Just don't arrest me." And when I got there, the lady looked at me and she was like, we don't like, in the office here, we can't go back 3 years. Like, I can't even go on the computer 3 years ago. You're supposed to do voluntary disclosure." And I was like, "What is voluntary disclosure?" And she's like, I'm gonna erase everything that's happened in this last week, and I'm gonna want you to call this number and do voluntary disclosure." And I was like, "God, is that you?" You and, worked itself out, but, like, scared me shitless. Last year this happened, and the last year I haven't even wanted to grow my business at all because 'cause I'm so scared until I met Claire, and she's like, "No, no, that ain't ever happening again. You go sell your pants off, and we'll figure it out." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
it put
we
me in a full pause in my business, full pause. Didn't
Oh,
yeah, I
wanna
remember you
sell a thing.
saying a block. Yeah, a total financial block.
But, yep, that was a huge thing, so find
Yeah.
you a CPA right away.
Yes.
it'll save you
Well,
time. You won't
it really
realize it,
will.
but it'll
Yep.
save you
And
time and
who
stress.
yeah, who really wants to do their own accounting? Jesus, that sounds miserable.
Let
Well,
the experts do it. So
so
thank you, ladies.
what was that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming on. It's been
Yeah,
really wonderful. It's very it was a very energizing episode, this one.
it
Good.
really was. It really was, and I would definitely say this is, what did you say? You categorize everything into two categories, Summer?
Energy
It's energy
sucking
sucking?
or energy like they help produce more energy. So like
This
sometimes
definitely
like
helped.
nervous, like go to networking and stuff. I'm like, that was I'm dead. But this has really been like it just feels so relaxed and so normal to talk to other business owners and connect to people that are in different industries struggling with the same thing because there's so many parallels to be drawn and it's
It really is.
nice to commiserate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully everyone listening feels energized too. And I'm stoked. My episode comes out 2 days before 420. Like, luckiest girl on
Yeah.
the planet.
That
Well,
is that is really
enjoy
cool.
your 420
Yeah.
listening to this episode because I know that's what you're
Yep.
doing now.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. I don't even think about
Ace in the planets.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. We are so grateful for it. I love you so much. This was super cool, and we would love to have you back at some point and maybe get a little more deeper into only God knows what.
Well, like one thing out of all the things we talked about. I feel like we could go down those rabbit holes.
Yeah, like maybe we could do like a
When
vote
we do a
thing.
live birth chart as business
Yeah,
partners,
Ooh,
we should.
your
Yeah.
compatibility as business partners,
that's
and
a good
Yeah,
idea.
that is a really good idea, actually. That's a genius idea.
that'd be fun to talk about your business and how you work together and who you best serve and
Yeah.
and
And
the
you can kind of
clients on
like
your chart.
display how it all goes down.
Yeah. And that way, you
Yeah.
know exactly what clients would match with you. So if they're out there listening, they're like, "Oh, that's my girl."
I
Yeah,
like that.
let's
I like
do
that
that.
idea.
Let's plan on that. Me too. And I definitely can't wait to the laboratory and everything else you've got coming for us. I'm excited, man, and I'm gonna join that Telegram channel. So
Yeah,
I'm
come
ready.
join the
Make sure you
Astro
join in.
family. Our Astro family vibes out as we plan our year and our day to day.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
lady. Good
yeah.
night.
Well, good
We're
night.
super
Thank you so
grateful for you
much.
being here. Yeah, thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye, y'all.
Bye.